Hi, this evening an extremely newsworthy story. You're going to hear the words surveillance, hacking, privacy a lot through this video, and we'll attempt to explain why it should matter to each and every citizen. At the heart of the story is Pegasus. It's one of the most sophisticated spywares, potentially installed in over 50,000 phones across the world, including phones of some Indians. I'll give you a quick gist of what's happening, why it matters, and then answer the many fantastic questions you have sent us. My name is Anubha Bhonsle and this is Newsworthy. Let's start. A Paris-based non-profit, Forbidden Stories, and Amnesty International accessed a global database. It had more than 50,000 phone numbers, which may have been targeted by Pegasus. What do I mean when I say that? That a spyware called Pegasus was potentially used to spy into these devices in an illegal fashion. Now, the two international organizations sent this database to 17 media organizations across the world who helped them identify the owners of these numbers. 1,000 numbers on that list were Indian politicians, journalists, activists. Now, a number on this list does not necessarily mean that the phone was hacked. But Amnesty's security lab conducted forensic analysis on 67 smartphones worldwide, of which 23 were successfully infected and 14 showed signs of attempted hacking. So that in a sense is the base or the proof that Pegasus, a spyware tool made by a private Israeli company called the NSO Group Technologies, was or is used to gain access to people's phones illegitimately. Let's get straight into your questions. @Dearcy asks, what concrete evidence do we have of the hacking and what evidence is missing from the picture right now? Well, Dearcy, the broad definition of hacking would be compromising of a digital device or a network and unauthorized access. So if we broadly agree on this, here's what we know. 23 phones across the world were hacked with Pegasus. 7 of these numbers were Indians. These findings were cross-checked by 2 organizations, including by the Canada-based Citizen Lab, which has been studying Pegasus spyware for over 2 years. In the past, NSO has acknowledged that its spyware was used to access data when WhatsApp sued it in San Francisco. Separately, in India in October of 2019, WhatsApp had informed 121 Indians that their phones had been targeted by Pegasus. Soon after, Citizen Lab also confirmed that the spy Pegasus was used to hack into phones and devices of several activists, journalists, human rights lawyers, and some of the accused in the Bhima Koregaon case. In 2020, Arsenal Consulting, another digital forensic lab based in the US, also found that 2 accused from the Bhima Koregaon case had been hacked. Though, in this particular report, no particular software was mentioned. Now, here's what we know. Let me tell you what we don't know. We don't know if all the numbers or all the Indian numbers in this list were hacked. We also don't know who authorized the hack, which is exactly what M. Suhas has asked us. But what we do know is that NSO says it only sells Pegasus to vetted governments and their intelligence, military, and law enforcement agencies. The goal, the company says, on paper, is to help catch terrorists and criminals. The latest database had numbers spanning 50 countries on 4 continents. Most of these numbers belonged to 10 countries. These include India, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Hungary, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Mexico, and Rwanda. All of them clients of NSO, and of course, no government has accepted responsibility.
Science@60 asks, who is on the list? Of the 50,000 number database, reporters from across the world were able to identify at least 65 business executives, 85 human rights activists, 189 journalists, and more than 600 politicians and government officials. Of the Indian numbers, the newsworthy names are Rahul Gandhi. 2 of his numbers appeared in the list in 2018, and 9 people from his personal network, including his 2 aides, also feature in the list. Then Prashant Kishore, he is the political advisor to 3 BJP rivals as of now, MK Stalin, Mamta Banerjee and Amrinder Singh. 2 sitting cabinet ministers, IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw, who is now denying the story on behalf of the government, and the Minister of State for Water, Prahlad Singh Patel. Vaishnaw was added to this list in 2017 before he joined the BJP. Also on the list, Ashok Lavasa, he is the former election commissioner. Delhi-based diplomats and ambassadors from Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, China, Nepal and Saudi Arabia. And 40 senior journalists, including Sushant Singh when he worked with the Indian Express, the Wire founding editors Siddharth Varadarajan and M.K. Venu, and Paranjoy Guha Thakurta, who is the former EPW editor. Just a reminder, not all numbers in the list were hacked or had the spyware. They are on the list and could be potential targets. Amnesty conducted forensic analysis on 22 phones out of the 300 verified Indian numbers from the list, and of these there is clear evidence that at least 10 were targeted with Pegasus, 7 were successfully infected, most belonging to senior journalists. One was Prashant Kishore's phone, hacked on April 28, 2021 during the Bengal elections. Pegasus was also detected on Kishore's phone on July 13th, the day he met Congress leaders in Delhi, and on the day Amnesty conducted the forensic analysis on his phone. @Biblical Sammy asks, are normal citizens part of this grand circus? Most likely not the Aam Janta, that has nothing to do with anything, if that's what you mean to ask. But normal citizens are on the list. At least 11 phone numbers are connected to the woman who in 2019 accused former Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi of sexual harassment. Gagandeep Kang, one of India's top virologists, you might have heard her speak during this pandemic. She is also on the list. Her number was added in 2018 when she was working on the Nipah virus outbreak in Kerala. Also on the list, M. Hari Menon, who is India country head for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, a British High Commission official, and officials from the US CDC. Friends of politicians also appear in the list.
Okay, let's take in one more question. The Rohit Sharma asks us, what is the role of the Prime Minister's office? Well, the government and the PMO have said nothing of consequence since the story broke 2 days ago. The Home Minister has called it a conspiracy to malign the government, blaming global organizations and political players which do not want India to progress for timing this report to coincide with the start of the monsoon session. Now, just a note, 80 journalists across the world broke the story internationally for various publications, and it's not just about India. So coinciding it with the monsoon session may have been tough. The government's rebuttal is really based on the fact that A, this is a conspiracy, as I said, and second, that India follows proper mechanisms for surveillance in accordance with the law. The Indian government has not denied purchasing Pegasus. Let me also bring in Penny Wydrop's question, who says, how does all of this affect India? Well, Penny, at the outset, judges, politicians, journalists allegedly under surveillance in contravention of Indian laws is something to be alarmed about. We must think of what it means, let's say, in the case of a journalist whose job it is to work on stories of national importance. So, for instance, Sushant Singh, a former army officer who became a journalist and worked on stories related to the Balakot airstrike or the Rafale deal. We must think of what it means when political opponents and their strategists are listened into. We must think the consequences when 2 different international forensic labs have confirmed that evidence was planted in one case, the Bhima Koregaon case, where activists, lawyers, journalists have been in jail for months without bail. In fact, new information coming on this suggests that 8 activists from the Bhima Koregaon case are on the Pegasus list. Their numbers appeared before 2017, before the violence. We must also think of what it means when the woman who accused former Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi of sexual harassment is on the Pegasus list along with her husband. She was added to the list just days after she recorded her allegations in a sworn affidavit. So the repercussions and the possibilities of misuse are immense and terrifying, and not just for those who have access to corridors of power, but for really any citizen. You're wondering, what does all of this cost? As per a 2016 price list, it costs 9 crores to spy on just 10 devices. And there were 1,000 potential targets on that India list, so you can do the math. We'll stop here for now and do part 2 tomorrow and answer specific bits about how Pegasus works or what all it can spy into, let's say. But before we go, there are questions related to the culpability of the government that we don't want to shy away from. @Chole Khulche asks, great name. Will it have any consequences for the government? Vatsala and Chabraji have similar sentiments. Is there a way to hold the government accountable for this? Yes, we can. Remember, Pegasus is only sold to governments, so it should follow that it has been used by a government against ministers, journalists, opposition members, etc. Pegasus is not some 2020 or 2021 thing. We've known about it since 2016 at least. Currently, the way our laws are, the government is largely exempted from accountability when it comes to surveillance. Authorization by a competent authority is how surveillance is granted. This is insufficient and a joke. Currently, the time we all wake up to this, the media included, is when some international organization gets a database or a dump of numbers, of which some are Indian. This is insufficient and a joke as well on us. What isn't a joke? That this is just about 1,000 numbers or just about a handful of Indians. This affects all of us. We'll stop here for now. If you've been watching, thank you so much for your time. And if you can, do make a contribution to Newsworthy. The link to contribute is in the bio or in the description, depending on where you're watching us. We'll see you again tomorrow.